the biggest investment you can make is in the people. The biggest investment you can make in your business is with the people. How do you let them know you care? People, if they're loyal, they are loyal for a long time. When they start to distrust you or feel that you don't care about them anymore or that you're just a number, they can move on very easily.
So, Nicki, thank you very much for joining me. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to spend this with us. And I'm very, very excited to chat with you about our industry and about how you've helped so many people over the years to achieve great things in our industry. I want to just kick off because I know you're a best-selling author and you've written a couple of books. Can we just start off there and tell us a little bit about those books? And
When we first started DSWA, we had a publisher actually come to us and say, it seems that you guys are the experts on this industry, and we really want to get going on some books. And a dear friend of mine who has written Chicken Soup for the Soul, Mark Victor Hansen, we went to him and said, well, what do you think we ought to call it? And he goes, well, I think you ought to call it Build It Big, because people want to build a big business. And what you can do then is have more Build It Big, or it's even bigger. I mean, he said, you got a series. And so that's why we started it. And we interviewed very, very successful people in the business and, you know, edited their stories and put it in this compilation. And we sold millions of copies. It's been very fun over the years, and it's still just as valid today as it was many years ago. So it's been fun.
yeah, people don't change, do they?
No, not really. The people that really have the desire to do something and to make a big business and to create the life that they want to live pretty much have the same attitude today as they did then, and will probably in the future.
Yes, I think the fundamental drivers, human drivers, don't actually change. Everybody thinks they've found the quick fix or the elixir to instant success, but at the end of the day, it's the same things that drive people, as you say, in the past, in the future, today. Nothing really changes.
You know,
So,
I meet so many people that have that kind of ambition and that kind of zest for life, and what I love is in our profession, that's how most people are. We don't have a lot of negative Nellies and negative Neds in our business, and it's all good.
and the reason for that?
I think part of it is who they hang out with, who they're around, because somebody said to me about children of direct sellers, they said, they're kind of from a different breed. And I said, well, they've been raised around positive parents. They've been raised around people that see possibilities instead of why it probably won't work. I just think a lot of it has to do with who they hang around with, who they focus on, and what they focus on, and how we're taught to live our lives differently, not just dwelling on the past and what went wrong.
And one of the things I've discovered over the years is negative people don't last.
Very true,
So
because
they
they listen to
bomb out of the
everybody else.
business, and that's why you're left with.
Yep. And they listen to all the naysayers. The people that leave run their life based on what everybody else thinks versus what they choose.
Yeah. And very often the people they're listening to aren't very successful themselves.
Very true. And it's like, I've never made, $100,000 a year, but I'm going to tell you, you're not going to make it in this business either, versus talking to somebody that has done well.
Yeah. So now one of your big, I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you're a trainer, but one of your big things is coaching. And so
Yes.
I'm not 100% sure of what the difference between training and coaching is. What is the kind of difference there?
Well, in training, you're providing information. In coaching, you're asking. That's the biggest difference. You don't just tell, you ask. And you ask a specific type of question, and I can go into that later. In the trainer, it's your agenda. When you're coaching, it's the agenda of the person you're coaching. It's the focus is on them. They let you know what's going on with them, and you ask those questions. It's actually like the opposite. But I will tell you that when a good trainer learns to combine coaching with their training, it, if you're just training, average retention and application is 22%. When you combine training with coaching, the average retention and application of what you said is 88%. That's a significant difference
Oh, wow.
because it applies to them. You see, your brain must work a whole lot harder, 60% harder actually, with a question than it ever does with a statement. We have so much information. What I say is, information doesn't create transformation in people. Applied information, information that they utilize, that works for them. So we must adjust in all of the companies and all the leaders to include coaching with our training, and we'll get better results for the people.
Because I think that most companies, most CEOs I talk to, they've got a training program, and you go online and you watch the videos, and then their people watch the videos, and then the CEOs are completely shocked and stunned when the people are not doing what they were told to do in the videos. And I think
Oh,
when I first spoke to you, that was the thing that most piqued my interest in is you said that you can't train a person to success, you can only coach them to succeed.
mm. And it's a combination. They got to know what to do, but we also must understand the reason they're not doing it, and that's a different skill set. So here's the example. Over here we've taught somebody how um, to sponsor someone. We taught the mechanics, the 5 steps to sponsoring, and over here the person isn't sponsoring. So what do most people do? They train them again. Here's how to do it. And the person still doesn't do it. So we come watch me do it. They still don't do it. They don't need more training. When someone knows what to do and they're not doing it, that's when coaching comes in. That's when you want to understand what's in this gap. What's between knowing and not doing. There's something there, and it's usually a limiting belief. So in sponsoring, the limiting beliefs are fear of success, fear of failure. I don't know what to do with them. I don't want to be responsible for them. Fear of being responsible. There's a lot of things that hold people back, but if we just keep training them, we never really address that. And I will tell you, for women, a big one is I don't want to be pushy. So they just don't ask. And they don't understand when they're not asking, they're choosing for the person, and the answer is no. So we've got to work through those things. It just takes a few minutes. It can take 2, 3, 5 questions to move somebody's life forward in a big way, because these limiting beliefs are things that are holding them back. Don't just hold them back in the business, they hold them back in their lives. So you can be a big difference maker when you start adding coaching to your educational programs for your team.
And what would those kind of questions be?
Mm. So example, if someone isn't sponsoring, so what if anything may be holding you back from inviting people? You know, what's in the way of you asking someone? They're who, what, when, where, how questions. And they're asked without judgment. There's no judgment in coaching. You come from a place of curiosity. It's a very different skill set. We have a client in Australia, and they continue at least once a quarter to run all their new corporate team through our coaching program. We do it via Zoom. And the reason we do that is because they want to be ahead of their field. Their field has been taking these courses for a long time, but it was a disconnect between what the corporate was doing and what the field was doing. It's like when someone says, I don't want to be pushy. And and then somebody goes, well, you're not pushy. Everybody likes you. You're fine. Just go talk to everybody. Is not going to change the situation. That is not going to get better. It just keeps going on and going on and going on. And it's a cultural shift to move to coaching.
Is there how would a person actually learn how to coach? If I wanted to, for example, learn how to be a coach rather than a trainer, how do you go about learning that? Are there books to read, or is there training courses I could attend? Do you guys have a training course that I could attend? What would my steps be?
That's so interesting. First of all, you want to learn from a true coach. There are people that hang their shingle out saying they're a coach and they've never been certified. They never take a course. And I don't believe that. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, as you said early, that coaching is the same as therapy, as counseling, as mentoring, as training. No, it's its own skill set. So yes, there are books, and there's some good books. And in our Build a Big book, we have a whole big chapter on coaching. We started teaching about coaching 22 years ago, and we started our Coach Excellence School about 15 years ago. And we have held courses all over the world live, and we do them on Zoom every week. There's a different course on Zoom. Um, it's really investing in it so you learn the true mechanics. You see, there's only really 5 skills to coaching. 5. It's not like you have to learn a whole lot, but you've got to be good at those 5 skills. Would you like to know what those 5 skills are?
I would
Okay,
so
so
like to know what those 5 skills. You have no idea.
okay. The first one is powerful questions. Learning to ask empowering and powerful questions. And those are questions that begin generally with who, what, when, where, how. Open-ended questions. Notice there wasn't a why in there, because why can have perceived judgment. It's like asking your kids, why didn't you clean up your room? Versus, when will you have your room cleaned? Very different responses that you get to that. So that whole powerful questions is skill number 1. Skill number 2 is heart-centered listening. Because you see, if you're not listening, you don't even know what question to ask. So you gotta really practice listening. Heart-centered listening is listening to the meaning behind the words. Because people can say, how you doing today? Oh, fine. Well, what does fine mean to you today? So the thing is, you got to be able to listen and to be able to know maybe things aren't so fine. I think this opens up the communication between all people. So, listening is a skill. And children are taught to talk, but they're not necessarily taught to listen. But parents always say, you're not listening to me. Or husbands say to their wife, you're not listening to me. Well, we all got to learn to listen. It takes practice. That's being 100% present with somebody in the moment, 100% present, not multitasking, not looking around, not doing other things, looking into the eyes of that person. Or if you're on the phone, like a lot of times I'll close my eyes and I'll just tap my heart. And that's just to stay in that place of understanding. People like people who listen to them. It's really quite interesting. So skill number 1 was empowering and powerful questions. Skill number 2, heart-centered listening. Skill number 3 was not my forte. I was not good at this. I really needed to learn it. It's called compassionate feedback. Now, they're still teaching in the colleges and universities constructive criticism. Well, let me tell you, criticism isn't constructive. It's destructive. It doesn't work. And when you go, let me give you a little constructive criticism, the person puts their wall up or pushes back or lets it go right by and doesn't even listen to what the person is saying. It doesn't work. There are 10 steps to compassionate feedback. And the first one is to ask permission. And it's not, can I give you some compassionate feedback? That's not what it is. May I share something with you that I've noticed? Now, you don't want to store this up like a chipmunk for 10 years and then blast somebody with 25 pieces of compassionate feedback. You want to be consistent with this. But, people don't give feedback because they're afraid it's going to be a conflict. It isn't a conflict, it's a conversation. And and it works. So I remember I had somebody say to me, because I didn't want to give this. I like people, and I didn't want to have conflicts. I didn't want to get somebody upset or mad. So I didn't give feedback when it was really necessary. And I remember one time a lady said to me, "Well, that was okay to do that. I've been doing this for 6 months and you've never said anything. Why is it not okay now?" And I thought, oh boy, I messed up on this. There's a better way to do this. And I really got into this compassionate feedback and developed the skills. And I give it now. I don't wait and store it up. I give it at the time. So being timely is important. And another piece of that is it's see the person's capacity. They can't take 20 things at one time. One or two, that's enough. And then find the moment for one or two. You just have people feel good about who they are, and they're growing. And you're growing too, because you're learning how to do this. So skill 1, powerful, empowering questions. 2, heart-centered listening. 3, compassionate feedback. 4 is agreed action and accountability. Without this, you just had a conversation with no results. And there are lots and lots of people in our profession, about 70%, that are in personality profile are S's. They're steady people, but they don't want to give compassionate feedback. They don't want to rock the boat. They like people. They just they don't want to put somebody's feet to the fire. That's what they think they're doing when they ask for agreed action and accountability. But the thing is, what you're really doing is empowering that person to take action. So it's asking, so when will you do that? What will that look like when you make that happen? How will you feel when you've accomplished that? Who else will this affect in a positive way when that's done? Those are different ways to move people forward. You see, coaching isn't about the past. Coaching is about today moving forward. Today moving forward. So we want to get good at agreed action and accountability so people are seeing results. They're moving. It doesn't need to be giant steps. It can be baby steps. But so what are you going to, with what we talked about today, what action are you going to take? What do you think would be your first 3 steps? It's a simple process, but once people get it, you don't ever have a phone call with an employee, with a team member, with someone in the field without finding out what they're going to do with what you've learned, with where you're going, or what you've discovered, or what you let go of today. So that's agreed action and accountability. The final skill, number 5, is called I see you acknowledgement, as in I see who you are being. For some reason in life, people keep score with the doing. Maybe you got attention from your parents when you were good at sports or when you got good grades. You know, you can be good at sports and get injured and never play sports again, and your whole being is wrapped around, I was a good baseball player. So the whole idea here is look for qualities in people that allowed them to accomplish that. Your dedication showed up. Your enthusiasm sparked all the people on your team. Your creativity, you always find a way. Your persistence. There are thousands and thousands of these words that you can use. And what I hear people say is good job. Good job. What does that really mean?
Attaboy.
Yeah. And that's not what it is. That's not what it's about. It will last a lot longer with people. I use this I see you acknowledgement in pretty much everything I do. Where I started practicing, when I'd go to the grocery store, I'd look for the clerk that was friendly to people. And I just went up to her and I said, I chose your line today. I chose your line because how you treat people. You are very respectful of others. And I mean, they'd almost cry because what do they hear? You charged me $1.02 and it was $1.01. They don't get very many. I see who you are. Your value and you're valuable to our world. It just takes a minute. Just a minute. You can make a big difference. You can make somebody's day, week, and year just with one little acknowledgement that you see about them. And you know, in our business, we do top in sales, top in recruiting. You know, you're the best at this, the best at that. When in reality, even if they are the best, you've got to say what qualities it took to get there. Because the people in that audience, I'm going to tell you, if they say, you're successful, you're up on this stage because of the way you communicate in a positive way, because you have a positive attitude, that person in the audience is going, I have a positive attitude. I could do that too. Otherwise, they discount themselves and say, I could never be him. I could never be her. I'm not that good. No, we want to empower people and keep them in our profession.
And obviously recognizing people where they are, and it has to be genuine. You can't
Yeah.
manufacture recognition like that. It's got to be, you've got to see them and understand who they are and understand what you're recognizing, so that when you do recognize them, that it comes across as authentic. Because I've seen so many people dishing out recognition, but it's just plastic and it's meaningless. And
No.
the person knows that they don't deserve that recognition for whatever reason, and therefore it's negative rather than positive.
It again, it has to come from your heart. You know, to be a good coach, there are also 5 principles. And these 5 principles must be in place to be effective and to have the results for the other person. And I'm going to tell you what those 5 are. Write on your paper, down the page, STAIR, stare. These are the stair steps to building people. The S stands for service. See, to be a coach, you must be of service to others. It can't be about you. Well, if I do this or you do that, then I win the trip. No, that's not what it's about. It's about being of service to them. The T is trust. You must build trust with people. And there's so many different ways to build trust. Somebody asked me recently at an event, they go, well, how did you build the trust with those people before you ever got up there? They trusted you. They told you things and said things and asked questions. I've never heard them ask. How did they trust you? Well, I went around the whole room. I went to every table. I introduced myself. I asked what they were looking for from this event. What would they want to walk away with? I built the relationship before I ever went up on that stage. Well, in coaching, I must know you. I must understand you. I must have my focus be on you. It's not about me. It's on you. So you build trust. You don't share what they've said with everybody else. You know, one time I had a company CEO. He called me and goes, our field's a mess. They're just all doing this and that, and it's a big fat mess. I want you to do a coaching call with our leaders. And I said, well, you know, I asked him kind of what was a mess and so on. What did he think was causing it and all this? And then he goes, and I want to be on that call. And I said, well, sir, I'm going to tell you, they will not open up as much. We won't find out exactly what it is that's going on if you are on there. I will certainly give you a call afterwards and we can talk. I won't say, Susie said this and John said that. I'm not going to do that because they'll never trust me again. But I can fill you in, but we'll get better results if you're not on there. He goes, they don't need to know. Just have me on and they don't need to know. And I said, I don't know.
See, there's the integrity.
That's it. See, service, trust, authenticity, being real, who you are, what you see is what you get. I don't need to be somebody else. I don't need to be my leader. I don't need to be that top person. I get to be me. And I stands for integrity because without it, you haven't got anything. You haven't got anything. The R stands for respect. See, one of the best ways to show respect of another person is really to listen to them. And you happen to be really good at that, Richard. You know, that listening is an important part because I I show respect. You show respect of me when you're listening. I show respect of you when you're listening. I honor you. And so those 5 principles must be in place in order to be able to get to to gain an open relationship where people will really tell you what's going on. They used to say fake it till you make it. I don't believe in faking it till you make it. I believe you got to be real, and and I want to keep learning, and I want to give people an opportunity to learn. So it's just like when I used to do a lot of consulting for companies, and I noticed other consultants were creating these codependent relationships with their people. And what I found is when you can teach people to be independent thinkers, to be able to make decisions, and it's just through asking a few questions, and they get it. They get what's next and what to do. It's I love what I get to do. I do.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely epic. It's interesting the things that you're saying here. If you were to apply that, and I think that this is men should be listening to this in particular, because if you were to apply this to your marriage or to your family or to your children, these same strategies, I mean, they would make a huge difference in your life, no matter what aspect of your life you're applying them to.
It is
And a
so
lot of
true.
times, your children, you're trying to teach your children and you're trying to discipline your children, but maybe you should be coaching your children. Maybe it's a
Mhm.
totally different approach to how you should be doing child rearing. It seems to me that everything you're saying applies to every aspect of your life, not just to the multi-level marketing environment.
It does, and that's what's interesting, Richard. People that come to these courses, they go, I got just as much from my relationships out of this class as I did for my business. This is for all areas of your life. I believe people will be a better wife, a better husband, a better parent, a better friend, a better daughter or son, because it's about communication. Actually, a lot of things were born out of our first class, which was for the direct selling profession. We now have Coach Excellence School for couples, Coach Excellence School for ministry leaders, Coach Excellence School for teachers, because the concepts are the same. The examples that we use are different, but it's for every area of your life. I know I'm a better person because of what I've learned. But I tell you what, I also know my relationship with my children, my husband, my grandkids is better too. And every one of my grandchildren are different, a different little behavioral style. So I approach them a little differently. And the questions I ask are a little bit different. But I have good relationships with all of them, and I'm just so thankful that I learned these skills.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I mean, these are wonderful skills to have, and it just makes me think. We're busy talking to a CEO of a company who's using our software, and he was there waxing lyrical about the fact that he's discovered this incredible salesperson who is going to set the world on fire because he'll be able to recruit thousands of people all by himself. And this guy is highly motivated by commissions and money.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, in actual fact, the reality is in our space, it's not the epic salespeople who build the big teams. It's
Mm-hmm.
not those people who can go out and convince you to join. It's actually the people who can take you and nurture you and care for you and grow you and develop you that grow the big teams. And so very often what the CEOs are looking for is those people who are driven by money, but they actually should be looking for the people who are driven by a care for others. Because it seems to me that the teachers and the trainers and the nurturers are the ones who succeed in our industry mostly.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you bring this thought up, because there are so many people that are confused with who can be successful in this business. This is a relationship business. People that are good communicators do well. The days of throw them on the wall and see who sticks. I mean, these were terms that I heard when I started off in the field. Um, Another one was, it's a numbers game. You win, so some will, some won't. So what? Next. I mean, we had all these horrible sayings. It was like people were dispensable. That's why we had people walking away from direct selling who could have loved it and done well, but they walked away because they felt like they were a number versus a person. So today, the days of being sold and told and convinced are gone. People want to be engaged. People want to willingly walk through the door and feel like I found a home. I belong here. This is my tribe. It's a whole different feeling. So this starts at the top with the company owner. What is your culture? That's one of the first things that a company has got to create. And if you're a culture of we make a lot of money and we make sure we have leaders that are making a lot of money and the focus is on the money versus the people, I think we're missing the boat.
And those businesses don't necessarily succeed. They might get a short flash in the pan, but it's normally a bell curve. They rise and they fall. They come as fast as they go, and they burn a lot of people in the process. You know, how many people tell me, "Oh, I tried MLM and it doesn't work." Well,
Mhm.
I guarantee you, their story is one where they were brought into the business. They were trained to do what was necessary. Nobody cared, and they came and they went. They made no money, and it was that whole concept of some will, some won't, so what next?
Mhm.
Um, and you're right; it's an absolutely appalling concept that you are going to just churn through people and hope for the best. Whereas what you should be doing is you should be finding people and nurturing them.
Yes. Now, a lot of people in our business want to help people. And so we attract the helpless, the people that want you to do it for them. I don't know that it's that I want to help everybody. I want to empower people so they build their business. They own their business. They work their business. I am here to support people, but I took help out of the vocabulary. And I say this around sponsoring. There's three kinds of people. The low hanging fruit are the helpless, and they're the people that want you to do it for them. But they're easy to bring in because they want to make money. They want to make money, but necessarily don't want to do the work. So that's why we got to ask, how much time are you going to commit to your business versus them thinking they're going to lean on you. Second type of person is someone that has needs and an equal amount of desire. So the needy is kind of at the bottom with the helpless. Then we go to the people with needs and an equal amount of desire. I take those people all day long because they are people that are willing to do the work. They are people that know this is not get rich quick. This is create wealth over time, and it takes me doing something to make that happen. Then the highest level people are the ready now people. But I'll tell you what, most people look right past those ready now people. They're a little afraid of them. They think they might know more than them. Ready now person has been successful in network marketing, has owned their own business, has been a six-figure income earner, has good communication skills, has a great amount of desire, has good work ethic. Those ready now people walk right on by because they think, oh gosh, I'm not good enough to deal with them. You are more than enough. Reach out to those people, look for them. I mean, today we have more lawyers and doctors and high level people coming to us because they're tired of the way the world is working, and they're looking for a choice. And this is an opportunity for a new choice. But the needy people and the people that are, want you to do it for them, you can only have one or two of those people. You can't run a whole team like that or a whole company like that.
Yeah. It's trying to avoid the needy and the greedy, because
That's
those are
so true. I got to write that one down. That is good because if it's only about the money, the first time they have somebody that they worked with and put time into, and it didn't work for that person, they end up um, getting mad or whatever, and feel like it's a waste of time, and they sometimes just quit too. So greed is not a healthy thing.
yeah. So and that's one of the challenges we're facing, and this is one of the reasons why I'm running this MLM for CEOs is to try and highlight the fact that the successful people in our business are not the CEOs of the company. Because generally, the CEO of the company is an A-type personality. He's highly driven by money. He just wants to make his business pump. And he doesn't understand that in our industry, you're dealing with an army of volunteers, and you've actually got to treat them, each person, each individual, you've got to treat them and meet them where they are, not where you are.
Mm.
And I remember saying to a friend of mine, he said, why don't you just recruit the people and let the greed drive them? And of course, it's that tends, yeah, but it tends to be the concept that a lot of CEOs have about our industry. You know, they do that 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. You know, that
Yes,
exponential calculation
yes.
everybody's signing up to, and they think that happens all by itself, and that you're going to build a massive, stable, long-term business on the basis of everybody just bringing in 2 people. But what you're making clear, and what I think is very, very clear in our industry, is it actually requires love, and it requires understanding, it requires care, and it requires consistent effort and helping people grow. Because the old saying, if you grow your people, you grow your business, I think is absolutely 100% true in the MLM and direct selling space.
Mm. Do you know, it's funny. I spoke at an event recently for executives, and I felt like this message was needing to be heard, and it was about, what really is your purpose here? What is it that you, as an owner of a company, are moving towards? Who are you going to bring with you? How are you going to be of service to your field? And uh, what's your vision for them? Because their success is your success. And sometimes I think what happens is, as an owner of a company, and I've owned many companies, that if I just do more, or if I just give more, or if I just spend more money, or etc., those kinds of that kind of talk, the biggest investment you can make is in the people. The biggest investment you can make in your business is with the people. How do you let them know you care? People, if they're loyal, they are loyal for a long time. When they start to distrust you, or feel that you don't care about them anymore, or that you're just a number, they can move on very easily. So anybody that's listening to this, Richard and I really want you to be successful. We want you to have a thriving business, because that means you're going to have thousands and thousands of people who are being successful. That's really what you will have created. What a beautiful thing. And customers that are happy with a great product. So you got a team of sales force that's happy, and customers that are happy. In life, if we just create win, 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 this is how I look at it: win for the customer, win for the consultant, win for the company, win for the profession as a whole. When we all are focused on doing good work for the profession, we all win. And everybody has a longer term run at what's possible in network marketing.
And if you do it right as a CEO, if you do this business right, it's very hard to mess it up. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you've got a company that has got a positive cash flow from day one. Your money is in the bank before the product leaves the office. You've got margins because you control the entire supply chain from cradle to grave. You've got an army of people who are passionate about your product if you've gone about coaching and training them correctly on what's happening. And if you show them the care and the respect and you honor them in the way they should be, how do you mess it up? I mean, this is the kind of business where you really can grow a massive, mammoth, multi-billion-dollar company if you just take some very, very simple, consistent steps. And as you said earlier on, and I loved that, is creating that culture of caring. That's what it's
Mm-hmm.
about.
Mm-hmm. And part of this is just communication. I think that, when this distrust starts from the field, it's when the company isn't being forthright with what's really going on, and they're not communicating well. Over communicate with people, letting them know what's happening. If you're going to have back orders, let them know we are having a supply chain challenge right now. These items are going to be on back order, and we're doing everything we can to get that corrected. We just wanted to give you a warning about it in advance. People appreciate that. They just want to know what's going on, and that you are transparent with them. That's the best part.
Yeah, they people want to know that you care before they care what you know, I think is the saying, if I can remember
Yes,
correctly. Something
yes.
like that.
It actually has
Yeah.
been said. They don't care how much you know. They want to know that you care.
That's it. Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember that now. Absolutely. So now I know I'm very conscious of the fact that we've got limited time, and I'm careful not to run over our time. What I'd like to do is just touch on the actual services that you as a company and as a person can offer to people out there. What regions you offer it in? Are you prepared to work outside of the US, etc.? Can you tell us a bit about your company, how you go about helping other companies out there to build their MLM businesses?
Thank you, Richard, for the opportunity to do that. Um, I've traveled all over the world. I've been in almost every country, and I work with the companies. Uh, in some companies, just interpersonal relationships within that company. They're so, you know, I've worked with inside the company with the corporate people, with their customer service department or whatever. And then I've worked with just the executive team. One company, the executives from every one of the countries they were involved in came to a place in California, and we did an executive coach school. But we don't just do coach school. We really work on the development of people. And so, whether that's consulting work for the company, whether that is training and coaching for their field, um, and we've been doing it for a long time. And we can do that virtually. We can do through Zoom technology or another form like that. And we can do it live. So it really depends on what the company's looking for. We just love this business. This profession is where we belong. And we want to really contribute to people's lives and to the success of companies. So many of the companies that we've worked with, we've been with them 10, 15 years on a regular basis. So we just keep changing it up and learning new things. And I'm a student. I just got certified in the highest level in behavioral intelligence, emotional intelligence. I continue on my journey and training for learning to be a better coach and more effective. I do executive coaching. So if you have an executive that is looking to be coached, I can do that through technology. So there's a lot of different things that will benefit any company and a person.
And how would we get hold of you?
My email is Nicki, Nicki, at dswa.org. DSWA is Direct Selling World Alliance. .org. So you can email me. My phone number is 808-561-6602. 808-561-6602. I live in beautiful Hawaii. If you ever plan an incentive trip here, we're really good at helping you get that incentive trip off to a great start. We've done lots of those and had fun doing them, and we want people to love our Hawaii the way we do. So those are the main two ways that
And
you can find. You can find me on LinkedIn too and Facebook.
and how do I pronounce your surname?
Uh, in Hawaiian, there's only 13 letters. It's Keohohou. Keohohou. E is always A, so Keo is Ko. H sounds like an H. Ho, and the U is U. Keohohou. Not easy.
Okay, beautiful. I love it. I love it, though. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Nicki, listen, I really appreciate you spending this time with us. I'm obviously going to tell everybody who I can about you, and we'll share this on our various different channels. And as soon as I've got it up, I'll definitely give you a link so that you can share it with the people that you know. It's been really an honor to spend this time with you, and I really do appreciate it. And it's wonderful to sit in the presence of somebody with your experience and your background and your knowledge. And it was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, for taking the time, and thank you for what you're doing for the people in our profession. You're working on longevity for all of us, for the good of all. You've heard me say the river of life is smooth when everything we do is for the good of all. And you're working for the good of all. So thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Okay. Thanks, Nicki. Go well. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope you found this session informative. But before you leave, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Spotify. And remember, never leave the good stuff till later.